As we start today's podcast, I would just like to give a huge shout out to Croatia. World Cup winners 2022. I'm calling it now. Croatia to win 2022 in Qatar. Or Qatar, however you want to pronounce it. Modric at the ripe age of, how old is he, like 34? At the ripe age of 38, scores a hat trick in every single match. Takes home the Golden Boot, and for some reason gets Young Player of the Year. And he actually wins the Ballon d'Or. No, but okay. That was a bit. That was a joke. France won. You probably already saw this. I actually had to record it, and then I watched it later. So it was 2-1 when I stopped at halftime, then I had to leave. Then I recorded it and saw the second half. You probably know France won 4-2. And, like, I thought, and I think most people thought this, Croatia was actually the better team the whole game. Now, it's weird because I say that, and then some people, like, if you say that on Twitter, if you tweeted Croatia were the better team, people would be like, yeah, but France won. And I'm like, yeah, those, like, you can be the worst team and you can win. Better team doesn't always win, which is why a lot of people like football, because the better team doesn't always win. That's how pretty much all sports are. But from just a neutral perspective, Croatia controlled the game and just overall seemed better. Now, the weird thing about the World Cup is that a lot of casuals come in, which is completely fine and something that I like. But the thing that's annoying, if you go on Reddit or if you go on the internet, is casuals suddenly become experts very quickly, which is really annoying when they start just talking like they know everything. I don't know everything. I am not an expert. I'm not a casual because I've watched a lot of football over the past 5 years. But I don't go around making huge claims that I can't really substantiate, because that's not, why would someone trust me over pundits on TV? Like, people always make fun of Michael Owen for probably a good reason. I don't actually get to watch him, but he always says, based off quotes I read, he says a lot of stuff that's pretty obvious. Like, I think they're going to have to score to win. Something just really obvious like that. But, I mean, the reason they have Michael Owen there is because he experienced football for the majority of his life. I would say he has a pretty good amount of experience in that. They wouldn't ask me because I would just be like, well, I think Versalco's a good right back because I play FIFA. So people always make fun of that, but then it's really easy to criticize on Reddit. Like, as soon as something happens, as soon as a pundit says something, suddenly it becomes a meme. It's funny that I'm making fun of people who make fun of people, because I'm about to make fun of Alexi Lalas, who's an absolute mug. Alexi Lalas, in reference to, if you saw the first goal France scored, they got it off a free kick. Antoine Griezmann dove. I don't really think it was a dive. I think he just actually slipped, because a lot of people were slipping. He slipped. Brozovic got called for a foul, even though he didn't really touch him until he was already on the ground. Ensuing free kick, he drives it in with his left foot. Mandzukic with an incredible backwards header. Glancing backwards header. Own goal. But Alexi Lalas, I don't know. He just, for some reason, he likes to just always play devil's advocate. And it's really annoying. Like, you'll have the entire room will say, Messi's the greatest player of all time. You can agree with that or not. But then Alexi Lalas will be like, Ronaldo is the best player of all time. And you could say something completely non-negotiable. You could be like, today is June 15th, 2018. Oh, shoot, it's not. Okay, today is July 15th, 2018. The World Cup features Croatia and France. And Alexi Lalas would be like, actually, in Australia, it's July 16th. And you'd be like, Alexi, go shut up. Because it's just not. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of Alexi Lalas. He seems like the kind of guy who, they always flash the resume on Fox Sports, because a lot of casuals in the United States are kind of like, I don't know what's going on. Who is this guy? And it's funny because his resume is always very underwhelming. It's like, played for the U.S. men's national team, played for LA Galaxy. I'm like, okay, that's like saying That's like if I went around going, in high school, I played I played varsity baseball. You know, on Sundays, sometimes I go to the park and play soccer. No one, like, that's not a huge achievement compared to they had freaking Clarence Seedorf next to him. They had Gus Hiddink, and then they had Ian Wright. Who else? They had Hernan Crespo. Hernan Crespo was on the set. Also, by the way, Hernan Crespo, he might speak English, but he's a terrible commentator. Like, they got rid of him almost immediately. It was really funny. He was commentating the Argent. He was, or not commentating, but he was a pundit, like not in the booth, not commentating the game, but like during halftime they would talk to him before the match, after the match, and Hernan Crespo would be going through the highlights, and he'd just be like talking so slow, and it was just so weird. And I've always been of the position, I know how difficult it is to speak a foreign language, but why would you put someone whose native language is not English into a quick pressure situation where they have to speak and find words quickly? Like, if you put an American or someone who speaks English fluently into that situation, they're going to find it difficult. But then you suddenly just throw this Argentine guy in there, and you're like, all right, Hernan, you played a little soccer, right? You just do this real quick. He's going to be like, okay. But then he's in that position, and he's like, and they have the ball, and they cross it, and then it cuts to a new replay, and he's like, and he's still talking about the other one, and then Alexi Lalas is there, like, awkwardly playing with his hair or something. I don't know. I just don't like Alexi Lalas. Yeah. What are we talking about? World Cup is over. I'm sad. I don't know how you guys feel, but when I was younger, I used to really like the summer because it always meant free time and it meant not having to go to school. But now, the summer just means like no sports and everything is tired and everyone's like kind of just chilling, that's great to chill. I'm a big fan of chilling. But I mean, there's no football for a month. Actually, that's not oh, wow. It's already July, so football starts in like August, right? So probably a month. That's actually not terrible compared to usually you have July, the entire month of July, just nothing. Except you'll get those really weird friendlies where it's like Tottenham playing Borussia Dortmund in Miami, Florida. And then you watch the game and it's Dele Alli, and he has just like bleach blonde hair for some reason. It's like if you went to Ibiza. I imagine just everyone, especially English players, go to Ibiza for holiday. For holiday, mate. They just go there for holiday, and then they all get really weird tattoos, and they grow strange facial hair, and then they bleach every single piece of hair, strand of hair, it becomes bleach blonde. It's like if you had those guys, and then they were playing a football match, and you just recorded them. Those are always weird because you'll get some people who, in the United States, who go to those because it's a event and they just kind of want to be out and about. And then you get some people who are really hardcore and into it, and then they'll break down the footage. How sad must that be if you're breaking down footage of a preseason friendly and you're not even getting paid for it? Like, you're just one of those Twitter guys. Twitter guys. Oh, Twitter's so funny, guys. You know what I'm talking about, right? You'll get those football accounts. I've seen this with basketball too. And it's like, I'll talk about basketball because I've had a little bit more experience with that in the United States. I saw the other day, if you don't know who Miles Bridges is, he's like a small forward, power forward. He's like 6'8". He's huge. He was really good coming out of high school. He played at Michigan State. He actually stayed for his freshman and sophomore year. Recently drafted by the Charlotte Hornets, or he's like traded to them or something. He plays for the Charlotte Hornets, and so there's summer league basketball going on, and it's just basically a bunch of prospects, people who are recently drafted, people who recently came out of college, and were signed undrafted free agents. And it's all of them playing, trying to get spots, trying to show that they're good so then they can make an NBA roster. And you just get these white guys who are like 55 years old and figured out what Twitter is, and they're breaking down the tape. And I saw So Miles Bridges was trending on Twitter because he almost did a crazy self alley-oop. Like, he got the ball in the paint, he picked up his dribble so he couldn't dribble again. He spun around, did a 360, threw it up off the glass. One hand clutched it, almost some NBA dunk contest type dunk, almost smashed it down. He was probably like 11 feet in the air, and it was almost incredible, but it was off the back rim, and he didn't convert the dunk. And everyone, for the majority on Twitter, was like, oh my gosh, that would have been one of the best plays I've ever seen. And then there's just this one account, and his name was like Basketball Bill or something. And he goes, yeah, I've never been a fan of Miles Bridges. Pigeon-toed, doesn't space the floor well. People think he's the next Vince Carter, but he's not that athletic. And it's like, what? He just did one of the craziest moves you've ever seen, and you're talking about him being pigeon-toed. And it had no likes, and if you look at the account, it's like 50 followers. There's nothing wrong with talking about sports, but why are you talking like you're a sports journalist? You're not a sports journalist. If Miles Bridges saw that, he'd be like, why are you talking about me being pigeon-toed? What does that have to do with anything? And then someone in the comments replied to his tweet, and they're like, what does being pigeon-toed have to do with anything? And then this guy's like, I like my players to glide across the floor, space the floor well. I want to have good movement and good agility and balance. I'm like, what do you mean you like your players? You mean when you draft them on NBA Fantasy, like your fantasy team? Come on, you're not an NBA scout. You're some guy who lives in Ohio. You're just some guy who lives in Ohio. You have 2 kids, age 17 and 13. You're an accountant, but you just really like basketball. You played varsity basketball in 1984. You thought you made like the 3A division regional champions. You were MVP. You averaged 10 points, 7 assists. You had 3 rebounds. And then you're talking about, well, I like my players because I run my team. I like them to be well balanced. Don't be that guy. A lot of people do it with football too. With soccer, with football, whatever, any sport, people do it. And there's no problem if you're getting paid for it or it's like your job. But if it's casual, it's a hobby, that is kind of strange. That it's not, I'm all for you can do whatever you want, but if you're criticizing people in preseason basketball or preseason football when no one is watching it, it's just weird. I don't know. It's just weird. I'm a big sports guy, but you got to take things with a grain of salt. Like these preseason friendlies, Karius, if you didn't see, Karius was in the news because he made another mistake. He mishandled a free kick, and then I don't know who they're playing, like Luton Town or some Football League 2 team. They scored, and everyone's like, Karius is garbage. And I mean, Karius has made a lot of mistakes, but he probably had a concussion for that entire Champions League final thanks to Sergio Ramos' shoulder. That mistake that he made recently was kind of bad. Like it wasn't good. But people are so reactionary now. Hugo Lloris made one of the worst errors I've ever seen as a goalkeeper. I'm a huge Tottenham fan. I'm a huge Hugo Lloris fan. Now, I don't really like France, but like, if you know the second goal, Mandzukic, that was, if it was tied, if that cost France the World Cup, or it went to extra time because of that, everyone would be freaking out about Hugo Lloris's mistake. But because they were winning 4-1, it didn't have an impact on the game. No one's going to mention it at all. It's just no one's going to even mention. It's not even going to be a thing. If Lawrence Karius makes that mistake in the Champions League final and they lose, people would freak out. And it's so reactionary because if Lloris makes that mistake and they lose, everyone is suddenly saying, Lloris out. We need a new, Areola, his name means nipple. He has to be the new French goalkeeper. Tottenham suddenly they're linked with Alisson from Roma as a new goalkeeper. Just because of one mistake. Hugo Lloris has made so many world-class saves for France this entire tournament. Makes one mistake, and because of the outcome, people would freak out. It's just, like, it's so reactionary. You have to understand that sports are hard. Like just because they're world class athletes and they're professional doesn't mean they're not going to make any mistakes. I mean, it's almost incredible the amount of the small amount of mistakes they do make, because everything is so scrutinized by the media, and nothing is helped by the media because everyone wants to just get clickbait thumbnails. Like the goal of being a journalist now is to get onto the front page of Reddit or like to be on Facebook news on the side, because they'll just take whatever they need. It reminds me when I was in high school, I was learning how to write papers. So I don't know if you guys know what an AP class is, but it's like advanced placement. So they're supposedly college level courses. They're not really the same thing, but I took one sophomore year of high school called AP World History. And that was the first class where I had to write pretty long papers, maybe like 4 or 5 pages. And I'd always thought I was a good writer, but I'd never been a kind of writer who would have to make an argument. I would always just be like a creative writer, like, here's a story about a worm, something like that. But in this class, I learned how you just take what you need. Like, you can have an entire sentence talking about just like Fig Newtons. And I could say, if I had the exact sentence verbatim that says, I don't like Fig Newtons, however, they're a much better snack than grape juice. That's not a snack, but whatever, you get the point. If you were a writer, I could just take the excerpt, I could chop what I need and just say, I don't like Fig Newtons. And suddenly the headline becomes, Long Transaction hates Fig Newtons, thinks they're the worst snack. And because all you need is the quote to try to substantiate your claim. I don't like Fig Newtons. I said that, so you can actually quote that. But then everything you add after that is just nonsense. Where I'm going with this is because there was a comment that was on the front page of Reddit for the soccer page, and it was Mario Mandzukic on Ronaldo joining, quotation marks, I don't care, end quotes. So people read that and they're like, Mario Mandzukic suddenly hates Ronaldo, doesn't care. And then that's what I thought. I thought Mario Mandzukic, he used to play for Atletico Madrid, played for Bayern, Juventus, been knocked out a couple years in a row by Ronaldo, Real Madrid. Maybe he actually legitimately doesn't like Ronaldo. Maybe he's gonna want to move from Juventus. Maybe he doesn't like playing on the wing anymore. He wants to be an out-and-out striker. But then you go into the comments, you read the actual thing, you watch the interview, you see what he said, and he said, I don't care to comment, or something equivalent to that in Croatian. I don't care to comment is so much different than I don't care. Like if someone asked me, hey, New Zealand's in the water polo World Cup final, I'd be like, I don't care. If you ask me, hey, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I don't care to comment. Just it's so, it's the internet. Everyone just sees all this information and they're like, I need to get all the information at once. Give me the information. And man, I don't know. But hats off to Croatia, man. The World Cup, I don't think it's actually the highest quality of I don't think it's the highest quality of football. I think most people would agree with that. The Champions League is much better. Even actually, I'd say Premier League at times is more exciting than Champions League, because you get in the mindset in Champions League where if you have like a 2-legged tie, you don't want to. The first game, if it's at home, you kind of don't want to. Well, I don't know. It depends on how you want to approach it, but there's usually one game in the tie where the team is playing more defensively because they don't want to just lose immediately. So I could see like something where it's like Leicester City playing Real Madrid. If they were playing at Leicester, I could see Leicester being defensive because they know how important an away goal is. Like an away goal, in my opinion, they need to revamp that because away goals are just way too powerful. It's like a goal and a half more than it shouldn't be 1-1. So I could see Leicester in the King Power Stadium just like playing defensively. Maybe you get a counterattack with Vardy. He scores. Maybe you just don't want to lose like 3-0 because then you can go to the Bernabeu. You're probably going to give up a goal, but maybe you get an away goal. So it's 1-1. You win the tie because of the stupid away goal rule. But yeah, people like the World Cup. It's more of a spectacle because it's everyone, but I don't think the quality is as good. It reminds me sort of college basketball versus the NBA. The NBA, from a talent perspective, is so much superior, which it should be. It's professional athletes versus non-professional athletes. But it's just like insane how much better at pretty much every aspect every single professional basketball player is as compared to a college player. Even like you could take Joel Embiid in college playing for Kansas. He was really good. He was pretty much constantly injured, but when he was playing, he was really good. But he wasn't shooting threes. He wasn't that effective in the post. He was just really huge. He was like a giant guy who had pretty good feet. He had raw skills, but had only been playing basketball for like 3 years or something. Then he goes into the NBA and he's injured a lot, but he has so much time because they don't have commitments like having to go to class and having to do all this other nonsense when they're pretty much just a basketball player. And then you just give him the time. You give him a lot of money. You give him the time. You give him any athlete or any trainer that he needs, like the dietitians, everything that he could ask for, and he suddenly just becomes good at everything. Dribbling, shooting threes. Joel Embiid is so good at pretty much every aspect. He could bring the ball up the court. And it's not solely Embiid. It's not like he's the only player that's ever happened. But you look at DeMarcus Cousins, and I know in high school I was watching one of his high school all-star games or something, and he was shooting threes. But he wasn't like, there was a game for the Kings where he scored like 50 points and had like 5 threes. It's just crazy how much they improved. But the atmosphere, people will say they like college basketball more than the NBA. And I personally prefer the NBA, but I can understand where they're coming from because the atmosphere that you get in college is kind of crazy at times, because college athletes, when they're like 18 to 21, just they do weird stuff. Like the emotions get to them and it's just kind of funny. Whereas NBA players are just kind of like, well, I do this every day, so I'm probably going to make this 3. Whereas college athletes, if they hit like 3 threes in a row, it's suddenly like, what is going on? So that's like the World Cup. The atmosphere is crazier, but the quality of play is not as good. All right, 23 minutes in? I don't know if we have any comments, if we can go to anything. I uploaded a video yesterday, Festival Football Zuba player review, and it has 626 views, 628, I just refreshed, 55 likes, 1 dislike, which, I mean, that's pretty good. But the video before was my reacting to Reddit/cringe, and that video only has 240 views and it has 3 dislikes. And that's, like, compared to the other ratio, that's pretty bad. But in my opinion, that cringe video was so funny. I don't usually think my videos are that funny, but I've actually watched that one back because I thought the editing was okay. My editing was pretty funny at times. Like the NBA introduction at the end was good. And I had a lot of fun doing that. So I just wish, I understand that it's a FIFA channel, so people kind of look for FIFA content, but it's the same kind of humor. So if people saw that, if they watched it and they like my other stuff, I feel like they would like it. But yeah, it's just that is how life goes. Let's go to, I clicked on the wrong channel. Guys, tomorrow is Amazon Prime Day. I've been an Amazon Prime member for a long time. So I've had these Prime Days for, I think this is the 3rd year, or maybe the 4th. I don't know. But I don't think I've bought anything. Maybe I bought something last year. I don't think so. I don't think I've ever bought anything for Prime Day because they're always just really weird. They're not good. It's just always weird things that are not important. We got a question from Notorious. Have you thought about doing podcasts outside, maybe connecting a mic to your phone and bringing a tripod? I mean, you could do that, but let's see. Wait, actually, could I? Yeah, I would be able to, if I brought this USB audio interface, had my laptop, hooked it up to Logic Pro or GarageBand, it would be fine because this camera is fine. But that, I don't know, the sound quality might be a little weird. I also don't know where I would do it. Also, it's really hot, so I don't think so. I still like my car idea, doing it on the car ride. Oh my gosh, the freaking commute, guys, has been so garbage. Just an hour back and forth. So 2 hours spent every day, 10 hours a week spent in traffic is so annoying. I really wanted to do that thing, but the mic, I tried it once with a lapel mic, and then the audio was just really weird. I need to get one of those mics that you can just connect. But I don't know. I don't think it's a great investment because those are like $200. And I don't know how, if I did a podcast like every commute, that would just kind of get boring. So it was an interesting idea, but not sure if it has enough legs. Check out Sopronomics. What do you think? What does your family think about you doing YouTube? It's funny because I don't know. I think they don't want me to just do YouTube as a full-time job because they don't think I would get a lot of money. So there was a period of time after my waiting job. So January of this year, so I quit quit both my jobs as a waiter and at Chick-fil-A in December. So then from January until March, I was pretty much just doing YouTube, and I wasn't making very much money, and they were kind of like, so what are you doing? Because I had, like I've mentioned, I have pretty good degrees from university. So if I just was a YouTuber, they'd kind of be like, well, I mean, that's fine, but when are you going to get a real job? And I can understand that because the investment, like the return on investment, was negative. Luckily, I got this job, so it'll help balance out. But they like the creative aspect, and they think it's good that I have a hobby, but they wouldn't, I don't think they would expect it to be a full-time job. And if I were just continuing with like 10,000 subscribers, 7,000 subscribers, that's probably, it's not very much money, to be pretty honest. Like the most I ever made in a month was probably $300, which was really weird because it was in December, and I was just getting a lot of views and doing a lot of videos. But even when you consider $300 in a month, that's not very much, because I was working every day for probably 6 hours, 7 hours. So that's, I don't know, you could do the math. Let's just say 6 times 25 is 150 hours, $300. It's like $2 an hour. So it doesn't actually equate to very much, even though $300 does sound like a lot. But I mean, as a hobby, I think it's fine. But hopefully one day, who knows? Maybe we actually get a following that's pretty good. I still like. I don't care, to be honest. I think I've reached an okay place where I have this job that I go to 5 days a week. It does cut into time that I could spend doing YouTube videos, but I would probably be able to get a video out 3 times a week. I'm choosing not to do FIFA videos almost every day because the amount of time that I spend playing and editing doesn't really equate to the number of views that I'd like. And it's just because it's that time of year in FIFA. I also don't want to burn myself out in FIFA because I'm actually really enjoying FIFA right now. It's weird how that works, but I didn't play consistently for probably 2 weeks or something. And then I came back and I was like, wow, this game's actually fun. And it's partly because I was playing so much Fortnite that when you just play one game, you start to see all the bugs because you just see the same mechanics over and over again. So I would see like a bug in FIFA and I'd be like, this is so annoying. I can't believe they have this in this game. It's so annoying. And then I was playing Fortnite and I was noticing like lag and bugs, and I was like, well, this is really annoying. I thought other games didn't have this. Because you go to the Reddit FIFA and everyone's like, this game sucks, I hate this game. And then you realize that pretty much every game has an error. That's just how coding works. You have developers who are hired specifically to fix the code in case something goes wrong. So people on the subreddit for FIFA are just too reactionary. I hate being reactionary when you got to understand that everything's going to have problems, but it's not going to make it terrible. Um, what is other than a website? Other than YouTube? What website do you use the most? Probably Reddit. I don't comment on Reddit too much, and I try to stay away from like getting into weird parts of Reddit, because there can be weird parts of Reddit, but I like how it's pretty much just a search engine but easier to browse, because I get like I like going to the soccer subreddit because you just find a bunch of random clips and you get a bunch of news really quickly. So that's what I like to do. Yeah, John Mayer's Instagram stories are the best thing on the internet, is what Ainsley Harriet says. I actually don't use Instagram that much. I should probably, it's funny. As someone who aspires, even though I don't really aspire, but as someone who is supposedly kind of like an internet guy, because I'm supposed to be an influencer, but I just don't care about stupid stuff like what I consider to be stupid, like going on Instagram, because I've noticed how people treat themselves, their YouTube channel, their internet status as being like a business, which is fine. You're perfectly allowed to do that, but I think it's kind of weird, because it's like you have to be a marketing person, but you're marketing yourself. And I've just never been the kind of person to try to market myself. So Instagram, if I see someone post a picture, unless it's like funny, unless there's some comedic value, I just think it's like a humble brag. Like people will be at the beach and they'll post a picture at the beach and be like, I love the beach. And then it's just really, really blue water and really white sand. And then it's like one of those girls' leg shots where they look like hot dogs. You know what I'm talking about? And I don't understand those pictures. Or if it's like, it was recently July 4th, which meant that a lot of bros posted shirtless pics of them like flexing, showing off their muscles. And I mean, it's cool to have muscles. It's fine. I don't have a six pack, but if you have a six pack, you can go ahead, flaunt that, bro. But like if I did have a six pack, I would just think it's weird to just be like, I want to get likes because I want people to show that they respect my six pack or something. That's just weird. I don't get how the likes mean anything. That's why the only way that I would at all consider doing something like posting pictures for clout is if it got me money. But even at that, like I don't want to post pictures of like weird stuff. Like my last video had so many views. Hit the like, double tap if you're happy that I posted or something, because that just seems like you're targeting children. You're trying to manipulate children to like your videos. Or people always do. They'll do. I follow these soccer meme Instagram accounts now because I was trying to get understanding of what the hell is going on. And they'll do a thing where it's a picture. So for France-Croatia, they would have a picture and it's Griezmann doing his like, or his L in Fortnite thing. And that's one half. And it will say like France in bold letters underneath. And then they'll have a split screen in the middle. And then the right side will be Luka Modric and his giant nose. And it'll say Croatia in white block letters underneath. And then they'll say double tap to lock in who's going to win. Comment, who do you think? Hashtag Croatia, hashtag France. Then you look at the comments and it's like, hashtag Croatia, hashtag France. And like the whole purpose is just so people will like your Instagram post and comment, because then that means that you go up in rating. But like, who cares? The fact that you lock in a thing doesn't actually mean, it doesn't mean anything. It's not like you're talking to a creator and you're like, sometimes Spencer FC will post these and it'll be like, who do you think's going to win the Ballon d'Or? He recently just posted that. And it was Messi, Ronaldo, Modric, someone else. And I can understand, he's probably doing that partly because he wants to get reactions from people so it makes his numbers go up. But it's also probably because he's genuinely interested. Like that's a question I would ask, because I don't know who would win. I would personally say Modric, but I think most people would say Ronaldo. And I would be interested to actually find out what everyone thinks. But then going back to the other thing, like lock in your pick, just double tap whichever side is going to win. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything at all. It's not even like placing a bet where if you lock in the correct one and then you comment the correct hashtag, you win. You enter to win a Apple iPhone or something. You're like, well, I think that's gonna win. Then click the thing. I don't know. It's just so funny to me. Mostly it's just little kids, I think. But oh yeah. Oh, Prime Day, guys. So I'm thinking, I want to build a computer again. I built this computer, and it's really good. And I don't know. I was never kind of a tech person, to be honest. Never bought the newest phones. Never bought newest laptops. But for some reason, building a computer is so satisfying for me. And this happened pretty much 12 months ago, so like a year, I built this computer, and now I want to build another one. And so I'm hoping there's Prime Day, and then there's also the other stuff. And I don't need a computer. Like, I just don't need one, but I want to build one. It's because you get these deals, and I feel like I'm outsmarting people because I can build a really good gaming computer, and it'll be like $700. And if you try to buy equivalent parts, it's probably going to be close to $1,000, just because most people, they see computer parts and they see technical aspects and they're like, guys, I'm scared. So then they go to Best Buy and like, here's $1,000. Give me that computer that's all blue and there's LED lights. And then the Geek Squad's like, okay, here you go. And I don't know. I feel like it's fun. It's so much fun. My favorite subreddit at the moment, which I'm actually like on right now, is Build a PC Sales. So if you guys are ever interested in building a PC, I had no idea what I was doing 12 months ago. I had to go, there's a Build a PC for me where people will put these. So what you do is I would go in and I'd say, here's my post. And I'm like, I want a gaming PC so I can stream and play Fortnite. And then I'd give them my budget. And then people, because they also enjoy doing it, they're like, okay, here are a bunch of parts that you can use. And there's a PC part picker to check compatibility, because I was worried that if I just throw a bunch of parts together, they might not work. They might not be compatible with each other. But like the internet, I don't know. The internet I hate and I also love, because there's so many weird things, like reactionary people on it and just general bad attitudes that kind of bring me down. But then there's something like this where it's just a community helping each other. And I'm like, this is really cool. And I like it. That's what, before money, like if money suddenly was injected into Build a PC for me, or like karma, where whoever has the most points suddenly gets $1,000 at the end of the month or something, just some way to make it monetized, I could guarantee it would not be as cool. I would not like it, because whenever money gets into something, it always makes it, it just makes it so people who are business savvy know, like, it's cool to be business savvy, it's good for them, but it kind of just ruins the overall environment. Look at YouTube. I cannot go on YouTube anymore for a lot of stuff. It's hard to find genuine content that I enjoy. For the most part, it's just stuff catered to little kids, or stuff that's clickbait, or stuff that's like loud and in your face because they want reactions. But then there, for every rice scum, there's going to be a primitive technology. So I really hope that doesn't happen with Reddit. I don't know how they could ruin it, because Reddit seems to have a lot of good stuff if you go to the correct subreddit. But yeah, Build a PC for me. If you guys need to build a PC, it's really good. I'm gonna have to end this right now. I don't want to, because there's stuff I want to actually talk about, but I really have to use the bathroom. Paul Pogba. People make fun of Paul Pogba because of him not being good. People just hate midfielders. Paul Pogba was really good this whole tournament. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you did enjoy it. Drop a comment. Let me know. #HelpMeDad if you want some advice. This dab goes out to France. Thank you guys. Don't forget to spare pets.